So I'm actually here at Still Austin with Jason, the education manager at Still Austin, and we've spent the day working on a very special project. But I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk to you because one of the things that is so impactful for me about Still Austin is just the presentation in the way that Still Austin comes across, the way that it sits on the shelf, the artwork, and just the brand itself. And maybe you can talk, since you're the education manager, maybe you can kind of talk to us a little bit about Still Austin in general and kind of what it is you guys are trying to do, what area of the market or what your message to the market is going to be or is moving forward and what it's been currently and in the past.
We think a little bit more abstract in terms of like our brand image and where that fits into like the wider whiskey market. I always tell people when they visit the distillery, we kind of have two founding principles. First and foremost, to make sure that every product that we make is truly made in the spirit of Austin. We want to celebrate the artists, musicians, the scientists that make our community unique. To be able to do that, we have to follow our second principle, which is that we actually make sure that we're making everything here as close to Austin as physically possible. And so it's kind of, the same, grain to glass, 100% Texas-grown grains all from 100% from a family-owned farm. We mash, mill, distill, bottle, barrel, everything here ourselves. And then how we actually produce some of these things and some of the weirder things that we do, like our slow water reduction, the Petito process, which everyone's going to learn a little bit more about here in the coming months, the blending techniques, things like that, the types of grain we use, using like that southern growing Prosecco rye. It's all these little tiny different things that all kind of create the kind of Still Austin ethos, if you will. We always call it like the art of Texas whiskey, right, because we think of ourselves as artists, and all the different things that we have at our disposal are the different paints, the tools that we might need to sculpt or build whatever it is we're trying to do, in the case of like our products being those things. Right. And it's just about how we use those tools, and I think that's kind of the fun part about it, is we don't really have like in our head of this like avatar of what we want to be. It's more of just, let's just keep giving it our best shot, and hopefully the work will define whatever the face of the brand is.
Well, for me, one of the things that stands out about Still Austin is with Texas whiskey, there's a lot of preconceived notions out in the whiskey market about what Texas whiskey is. And I would say if you take whatever people characterize as Texas whiskey, Texas funk or Texas whatever, you guys really are a brand that is not leaning into that. You guys are not, I don't think anybody's really going to taste the Still Austin product and go, oh man, that's a Texas whiskey. Is that intentionally, or is that just a product of the way that you guys are trying to turn out the specific types of product that you want to do, and it's just not leaning into that characteristic thing that people want to pigeonhole Texas whiskey into, which you guys are not in. You guys are not in the Texas whiskey box by flavor, I don't think. And I'm wondering if is that intentional?
I mean, we get that a lot. I just say, is it intentional? Maybe to a degree. It's not that we think we do taste like Texas. Okay. Now, we don't think that we taste like, Garrison Brothers, or we don't taste like TX, we don't taste like, Andalusia being single malt. And that's what is the most interesting thing about Texas. It kind of always has bothered myself and John, our lead distiller, when we hear people talk about the Texas flavor, right, because there are a couple brands that do have that like super oaky, like super tannic kind of flavor profile. But for every one of those brands, there's 3 or 4 other ones that they don't. Yeah. Like Texas is a massive state. We are, bigger than France. And as the many different types of wine as there are in terroir there is in France, there's just as many different types of terroir and microclimates within Texas capable of producing different flavored whiskeys.
Well, that's why I bring it up, because I personally don't think the idea of a Texas whiskey flavor is, I think they're just looking at one side of, like you said, Garrison Brothers, they've got a very characteristic flavor profile to it. But to say Texas whiskey is kind of other than the fact that it's made in Texas, I don't know that there really should be a class Texas whiskey, because it's just, they're so different. I mean, we've been all over the state and tried all kinds of different things, and there is not a single underlying characteristic to all of those things that you could say that is in all Texas whiskeys.
Precisely.
And that's one of the things that I love about Still Austin, and I want people to know about Still Austin, is that don't come into this thing with an idea of what you think this is. You need to drink the dang thing. Ignore where it's from.
Exactly.
Try it, like it, and then look into what it is to be Texas whiskey.
I always tell people, it's like, you like bourbon, right? And they're like, yeah, I love bourbon. It's just like, try this bourbon. Like,
yeah.
Don't look at the where, just try it, Like, I guarantee you like it. I always like to bring up, we always get down here in Texas, I don't know what it is about Texas whiskey, but we get a lot of people just like, can you even make bourbon down here in Texas? I thought it had to be from Kentucky.
I get that a lot.
I never hear anyone ask the folks at High West that.
No, yeah,
Like, you know what I
no
mean?
kidding.
Like,
Yeah.
like it's just like anywhere else in the country,
Right.
you can make bourbon, and it's just like anywhere else in the country. There's the types of equipment the distiller is using, the choices of grain, the fermentation methods they use, the barrel selections that they choose. Those are all going to have a far bigger impact on the flavor of your juice than the area code.
100%. And for the record, yes, you can make bourbon in Texas.
You can make great bourbon in
Please
Texas,
stop
actually.
saying that. I get that a lot. It's amazing how much I get that comment down. It's not bourbon. It's not from Kentucky. I'm like, I just stopped answering that. I'm like, I don't have time for this for the 1,000th time. So the last thing I want to ask you about is, I don't know how much you can talk about it, but I know there are big plans for expansion, and you've mentioned a couple things with Still Austin. Still Austin, I think, has grown so quickly, and you guys have really handled it well, because you're the term a victim of your own success, and I think you guys have been massively successful in a very big hurry, but you've handled it really, really well, and you guys keep turning things out. So can you tell me about the plans for expansion in Still Austin getting bigger, and what there is in the future for Still Austin?
I can tell you that we are looking to expand not just our production exponentially, but also the experience that you get when you come visit the Still Austin tasting room. Right now in our current build out, we have areas for live music, we host live art, all kinds of fun events, private meets and things like that. And then of course we do produce everything right here as well. We want to be able to just do all that, but bigger and better. We want, probably what most people are going to be interested in is our production expansion. I can't tell you too much about that, but I can tell you that we have a distillery or building that is going to be 4 times the size of our current distilling operation, which
That's
it's going to be a lot more capacity being able to pump out of that. We'll hopefully have that done within the next couple of years. But more importantly, we're also going to build around that distillery. We're going to have a really great experience right here in the area that we still are. We're not moving. It's just going to be an expansion of what we have. But added retail, restaurants, more live music, a really, really cool expansion to our single barrel experiences and small batch experiences, areas where you can actually get to go and see the areas where John, our master distiller, and Nancy Fraley, our master blender, where they do their work. And you're going to be able to see what they're working on if they have something going on at that time.
Very cool.
It's going to be a really, really fun kind of thing that we have. We want people, like we were talking about, all these different things that we have at our disposal and kind of working the jigsaw puzzle to kind of create what we're creating. We want people to be able to come and watch that process happen more than just kind of through a glass window or, behind a line on a tour. You'll be able to come through, and as you're enjoying what you're doing, you'll be able to watch things being bottled. You'll be able to watch people doing blends. That's kind of the fun that we want to be able to do.
Very cool. I can't tell you that if you haven't been to Still Austin in this area, the one thing that I did notice immediately is it's very cool to hang out in an area where people are happy to be. There's a very cool gathering place out here. It's a very cool modern feel. You can come to Austin right now and hang out in a working distillery, have a cocktail, have some food, and just be around a whole lot of very happy, very cool people. I've really enjoyed being here. I mean, this is the first time we've actually been here in person, as much as I've enjoyed Still Austin whiskey over the years. But if you don't know about Still Austin, and I'll give you one more question before we go. I always got to ask everybody. But listen, you got to check out Still Austin whiskey. If you haven't done it, please don't make any assumptions. Just pick up a bottle, try it out. It really is a great product. And I was telling John and Jason earlier today, it's one of the very few, probably the only distillery I can think of that I like absolutely everything that they've done, down to the gin. We tried it today. The gin's fantastic.
Is awesome if you haven't had the chance to try it. Like, this is coming from a whiskey guy that at one point had a shirt that said, "I hate gin" in block letter. That's not a joke. That is not a joke.
Okay.
Our gin is second to none. One of the best gins out there, and it's inexpensive is all I have.
It's very inexpensive. It's very inexpensive. So we may have just answered this question, but what is your favorite product that Still Austin makes?
Now, my favorite product, the gin is probably one that I enjoy often, probably maybe even most often, but my favorite is our cast strength rye. Something about that 100% rye mash bill, the southern growing rye, Nancy's slow water reduction process, it just wraps up to this. It's like anything else. I mean, you guys were tasting a lot of our single barrel ryes today. I mean, that 100% mash bill just does, that 100% rye mash bill with that southern growing rye just does something that you cannot find in other rye whiskeys.
It's it's my favorite of the core 4.
Oh, yeah.
Is the cast strength rye for sure.
You and me both, brother.
Yeah, we'll talk about the core 4 another time. But Jason, thank you very much, man. This has been a wonderful time at Still Austin. Please check out Still Austin. If you have a chance, come to Austin and check it out in person. That's the way to do it.
Come see me. I'd be happy to show you around.
Come see Jason. All right, thanks, man.
Pleasure, brother. It's a hard couch to get up from.
Yeah, no kidding. It warned me before I sat down.